We're going to get in there, and we're going to find the stuff we never thought we'd find. Okay? Like another good Adam Sandler movie. Okay?
Oh, okay. You actually think that's what's at Area 51, not alien shit.
Yes.
Just like...
Oh, well,
okay,
we're going to find alien shit.
It's the vault from Indiana Jones. I get it now. Sorry, I thought you were saying you were going to find aliens. That's totally what the Ark of the Covenant is. You're absolutely right. Sorry, I thought we were going a different direction with this.
We're gonna find aliens, but we're gonna find other stuff. A Smash player with good personal hygiene. We'll find there. What else will we find in Area 51?
These are things that aren't allowed to exist in the public, not things that don't exist. Period.
They exist, just in Area 51.
That doesn't exist, Alex.
Yes, it does. Why?
To get good at Smash, you have to become disgusting as a human.
Look. Charlie, look. Granted, I've only been drinking Gamer Girl bathwater for like a week now, but my mind is clear in the situation.
I think this is the Gamer Girl bathwater talking, Alex. I think it's gotten to your brain. It's given you herpes, according to the internet.
I was a thirsty gamer boy. I want to go to Area 51. They have more water there.
No, they actually have the opposite of more water. They have more sand.
I don't ask for a lot, Charlie. Okay? I don't ask for a lot. I'm asking you to help me.
No.
Help me cross the desert to Area 51. Okay?
Hello and welcome to the Wicked Awesome Cast, 163 of all things, or episode 163, I guess. I should say that like a normal, sane person. As always, I am Mordak Undivided, joined by Maeve Online. Henry is still out this week. He is not feeling well. The mystery has been solved.
Charlie, you screwed up your name. It's Mordak, or More to 4K.
No, it's always been Mordak Undivided. No numbers, no nothing. Just MORDAKUNDIVIED.
You know, it's Mord 4K. That's how I remember it.
No.
It's pronounced Mordak, but Mord 4K.
No.
We're not starting off the podcast correctly. You're saying your username wrong.
What kind of idiot would have that for a gamer tag, especially when it's taken on, like, a random number of gaming platforms, so you can't have all of them at once, thus spurring you to go through one day and change, like, 15 platforms to that. To a new gamer tag. It's always Mordak Undivided.
No, I've always made a mental note of it being 4K. You even made a whole thing about how you hate about leet speak, and people don't remember that.
This isn't a thing I've ever talked about. Leet speak is stupid and a byproduct of the 90s and early 2000s, when gamers were terrible like they are now. Why would you ever replace a letter A with a 4 to think you're cool?
I'm so confused. Am I crazy?
How do you spell the hacker, Alex?
The hacker?
It's not spelled
HACKER.
TEHHAXOR. That would be dumb.
But oh my god, I've been drinking too much bathwater.
You need to stop it with that joke. It's no.
It is pretty vile. Anyway, yes. Episode 163.
Yes, I changed my gamer tag.
So it looks like you had a productive week.
I did some stuff, yeah. I'm going to get this out there right now. I keep looking at games I should probably play more of, like Judgment or something, and going, man, I'd love to play this right now, but this dredging title ain't going to get itself in Destiny 2. I have a problem again.
Well, at least we're both in pretty game addictive scenarios at the moment.
I'm coming for you, bad juju. I'm coming for you. You will be mine. As with the title dredging, I've made my peace. I'm not going to get all the moments of triumph this year. I'm just not coming back a month before all that stuff kicks off. And then playing kind of stupidly was a poor choice on my end.
Yeah. When does when does the new Destiny 2 come, or Destiny 2 expansion come out?
September, 19th, I think?
So that's right around the corner.
It's coming up, yeah. So the Destiny roadmap right now is Moments of Triumph have kicked off. Solstice kicks off on the 30th, which means you will have all of August to do Solstice stuff, more or less. might be less than that, I don't know, but like early in September they're gonna lock your year 2 you can still progress and there's still stuff to do, but kind of your moments of triumph and all that jazz will lock for the year, and then stuff that's year 2 exclusive will be locked and you won't be able to get anymore. And yeah, the dumbness is the stuff I'm chasing like a crazy person right now isn't even necessarily year 2 specific. It's just kind of my personal goals for year 2 at this point, because coming back in as late as I did is problematic. It's like, yeah, you have a lot of pinnacle weapons to get, I know. And if you play this across an entire year, you'd be less frustrated trying to get all of them. Oh, I'm aware. Are you? Because you've almost ground out 3 pinnacle weapons, 4 pinnacle weapons, actually, in like a month. And you have a full-time job and a wedding to plan and a podcast to edit and other stuff. Yeah. Are you sleeping? No, I'm not. But, yeah, we could. I have a problem. Please help me.
It's all right. It's all right. We all have our moments. It's just mine happens to be on WoW. So,
like, I joined a clan right now to more effectively do this stuff. They seem to be okay people. I'm digging it so far. I could rant hard on what I think of Endgame and Destiny 2 about how it's uncomfortably clan dependent, but that's a separate topic.
Well, if I remember, you used to be able to get stuff from being part of like.
You still can, and the rewards are better. It is more the looking for group situation for Destiny 2 has gotten. It's always been bad. It's gotten worse. Like, it's problematic now, to say at a minimum. Like, it's at peak D1 or Destiny 1 badness, and just being in a clan when you can drop in Discord and say, like, yo, who wants to run X? And people are like, me! It makes it easier and not suck.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like, I successfully raided. I ran Leviathan finally. The fucking raid from year 1, I ran in an hour and a half, like, this week, because I had not run it yet, and a bunch of stuff was like, yo, if you run Leviathan, you'll unlock shit. And I'm like, cool, and it didn't unlock shit because I didn't run it hard enough or right enough, but it's fine. Whatever. I'm not bitter.
Not bitter.
I understand why people fucking hate that raid. I really do.
Really?
It is a bad raid. Part of the fun of having a clan is I now have people to play with reliably, and a lot of them did not play Destiny 1, but the ones that did are like on board, where it's like, yeah, the worst raid of Destiny 1 is still better than any raid in Destiny 2. Fucking Crota's End is still like, Prison of Elders is better than Leviathan. Like, and Prison of Elders is a controversial thing in Destiny, to say the least. Like, it's polarizing. Leviathan is just like, yeah, this is technically a raid.
Sorry, have you done any other raids other than Leviathan?
No, but I'm working through them now, I guess, is the way of thinking of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's my point being that, like, the worst raid of Destiny 1 was pretty shit upon. Like, it's Crota's End. It's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. It is more of a raid than Leviathan is. Like, the number of reused mechanics from Destiny 1 raids that are in Leviathan, and the number of, like, there's one cool part of Leviathan, and it's not a boss fight, and it's also kind of like, it's the make or break point for the entire raid. It's the gauntlet, I think, or whatever it's called, the one you race around stuff. It's less about, it is the most mechanically heaven-driven part of the raid, and that's cool, but also, like, it's not a great mechanic. It's like, okay, this is neat. We've had jumping puzzles before. Like, the menagerie version of this is better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's whatever. But that's Destiny 2. But in addition to that, I got my shelving done this week, which is nice. Which means I can now look at AC units from my garage, which means we can maybe start recording stuff again in the near future out there. Because I won't.
Very nice.
It can get to be 100 degrees in that thing, because it gets hot, and, like, if people have wondered why these fucking shelves are so important to getting the studio set up, it is because I wasn't sure how high up the wall I would have to go to kind of safely put an AC unit that wouldn't get in the way of everything. It's like, yes, you could measure, but to anyone who's ever installed an AC unit before, it's not quite that simple. Like, it comes down to you have to run ducting for it and all that jazz. Like, AC's kind of suck to install, and like it also needs heat. So the plan is to go like with a ductless system, which needs an exchanger, which I can put on my roof and stuff. But like it becomes a whole thing of like optimal angles and maximum spread, and it's like, okay, yeah, we have this up now. All the shit that was just on the floor of the garage, that can go on the shelves temporarily, so you can actually, like, run cabling, and you now have a better idea of where stuff might wind up being permanently, so you can run Cat 6 cable, because you have to run a Cat 6 cable from your house up through your crawl space, down into a pipe system you had buried that runs from your house to your garage, and you have to do that all in one kind of giant continuous run, hypothetically. Yeah.
So, I'm curious. I remember seeing your the garage area when I was there.
Yep.
You said you're putting an AC in there.
Yeah, it'll go on the so the previous owner of my house, in all his wisdom, chose to seal my garage, which on one hand is a fucking dumb choice because the garage, he basically turned the garage door part of my garage into a wall. The inside of my garage is drywall, which for my purposes is great. For having a garage purposes is fucking dumb.
Yeah.
But here we are, kind of thing.
So the reason I ask is, like, have you checked to make sure all the electrical wiring in that garage is good?
So,
because I mean, from what I understand, when you have the studio set up, you're gonna have a lot of electronic stuff plus the AC unit.
I got a fridge out there right now. Yeah, like it's so.
Okay.
So in this work, it's even dumber. I swear we talked about this when I first bought the house, but maybe not. The previous guy had a full circuit breaker box. I have physical circuits in my garage. Like I have switch circuits in my garage, as in I have a like direct line path from my circuit breaker box directly to that runs that way kind of thing. Like I have raw kind of street power running directly to my garage. The issue with this power was it used to cut. So part of the reason to bury these pipes I have was initially they ran from the house to the garage as a just cable swag, meaning like 4 feet off the ground towards the side of my backyard. I just had 4 power cables.
Gotcha.
Very much inside my reach range. And like literally one of the first things I did to the house was have an electrician come through and bury that shit. Because it's now safe for tall people to walk underneath it. Like, electrocution was a potentially real issue I had going on. And that's all done now. Like, the electrical out there is good. Like, it's been running a fridge for over a year and stuff like that. It's fine. It's circuits. It's newer than the rest of the house is, electric-wise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, electrical stuff, I kind of knock on wood, fingers crossed on this one. Like, it's very easy to fuck up, but also very easy to not fuck up. Like, it's of the many kind of exceedingly complicated things you can do in a house, it's actually not that hard. But, like, if you do it slightly wrong, you will burn a house to the ground. But it's so incredibly easy to do it right, it's pretty easy to do yourself kind of thing. It's like running Cat 6 cable. It's incredibly easy to fuck up, but also running Cat 6 cable isn't actually that hard. It's just cable at that point.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not worried about that. Like, I'm more worried about the fact that the cabling, the electrical cables at my house are solid core copper, which is great, but also, like, that's some 1920s cabling at that point. Like, to put some of the nightmares I have going on in my house, I have solid core copper going to outlets that have USBs built into them. Like, that's kind of like dropping a hybrid engine into, like, a 60s Mustang, if that existed. Yeah. You could probably do it, but, like, all of, like, it's the, like, these things were never meant to meet. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not even done yet. I did one last thing this previous week.
What else did you do?
We haven't talked about tabletop games in a fucking long-ass time on this podcast, but I know we talked about the weirdnesses a long time ago of trying to find a group in LA and kind of the nightmares I was going through with that. I started my own group, ultimately. We play on Wednesdays, it seems, and I'm GMing that. So yeah, we had our Starfinder Game Zero, for those not sure what that means. We had a game meeting that wasn't us playing, but going through rule books, getting people's characters set up and all that jazz, and we won't start this upcoming week, but we will start the week after that. I think it'll be a fun group. We will see what I wind up doing with that. Like, it's many tabletop game podcasts exist out there. I don't know if I'll wind up going down that path, but kind of like how Jeff used to talk about that on this podcast, I'll probably talk about it some moving forward.
You should, honestly, like, if they'd be down for it, you can probably capture and then upload it on YouTube.
Yeah, or at least do audio recordings or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do one kind of campaign first. None of them played Starfinder before, which I know I've talked about on here. Like, so gotcha. I don't, like, I have started listening to a bunch of Shadowrun and Cyberpunk podcasts recently because life is a nightmare that I'm not listening to people play a tabletop game, but what's the right word for it? It's to make a good one, there's more editing that goes into it than I necessarily have time to do, and part of what makes it a good one is not someone explaining the rules every 10 seconds, which is what I'll have to do probably for the first couple rounds.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a new group, so yeah, that's expected. Still, though, that's exciting. Yeah. I'm glad you got like a local group set up. I don't know if I ever mentioned, but my coworker, her husband, and a couple other people do a big D&D thing. I think monthly or something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because I guess they do all their stuff tracking character-wise online through some sort of app, or
they might be playing organized play, or if they're playing actual D&D, the D&D electronic support for it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, they bought some sort of digital one with all the crazy packs and something like that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think they're playing like it's called like 5e or something. It's 6th edition. There's a name for it. I just don't know because I don't play D&D. I haven't since like 3rd edition. I tend to avoid fantasy tabletop games because I find fantasy tabletop games get silly in a not fun way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's every bard thinks they're fucking hilarious.
You said every bard?
Every bard thinks they're fucking hilarious.
We bards are funny.
No, you're not.
Part of our charm. Actually, I don't know what class I would play. Like, I don't know. I've never thought about putting together a character, but I do want to join my coworkers at some point and play a few games with them. I think it'd be fun. So, I don't know.
Tabletop games are fun.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I look forward to actually hearing about that. So you guys are gonna meet up roughly every. Well, I know you said this week's not coming up.
Yeah,
the following week.
It looks like we're gonna be doing that. We'll see what it actually winds up being. Like, I'm not getting my hopes up just yet.
Gotcha.
But like like relationships, marriage, and cars, the most issues happen in kind of tabletop groups within the first like couple like sessions or after several years, kind of thing. And like if you can get that sweet spot where if you can make it through your first campaign and people are kind of comfortable with the game after that, then you can start having a lot of fun and you're a little more stable at that point. And like, to put it in perspective, I wrote a campaign for this that like ends with me killing all the players' characters. And I've been very upfront about that, where people came in like, this idea for I'm like, that's cool. Is this a character you want to play long term? Well, yeah, don't make it for this round. Why? I'm going to murder all of your characters. Why? Because all of them the first round are going to be terrible. You do not understand the game, and keep this character on life. Like, we will make good characters today, but you will then have time to come up with better backstories. Like, once I know all of you, I can write better campaigns. Once you know me, we can kind of work something out that makes it work. But for now, I am going to kill all of your characters in 4 to 6 weeks. Like,
I'm glad you let them know. Like, you're going to die.
It is so. Many years ago, I played with a pretty prolific D&D group, and it is something I learned from him where, like, he's like, I'm going to kill your first character. Why? Because your first character should be how you learn to play this game and not something you're, like, aggressively attached to. He's like, no, And if we were doing some campaign that requires you to hold on to that character for months, I have fucked up as a GM because your first character is you not understanding how to min-max a character, not understanding like what makes it a good role-playing or what type of balance you need of stuff or what you want out of a character. So you make something unfortunately generic. And that's the point of your first character. Like, it's this min-max, like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to do ranged or melee. I guess I got all this stuff going, blah, blah, blah. And it's not fun. And then your second character you make after you understand the rules has, like, flaws and personality. And, like, you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to put a bunch of points into what lets me shoot good, but I'm going to have, like, a fucking glass arm when it comes to hitting things with melee. But that's fine, because that's now part of who I am as a character kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a weird concept for people when they've never played a tabletop game before, but at least in my experience, I know it's controversial, me just flat out being out here going, I will murder your first character. I'm intending to. I have it written into the story, all your first characters will die horribly. But it's kind of a lot of hand-holding went into the kind of first characters, and that's how it should be. I don't want to know everything about your characters when we start playing stuff. I want there to be some mystery. I want them to be yours, as opposed to like me going, you have to buy armor. Not that armor. Why? It's bad armor. But it's got a cool name. It does have a cool name. For 50 credits more, you can get way better armor. Just saying.
Well, I will be following... What's the Palpatine saying in the movie? I will be following your career with great curiosity.
Yeah, I'm excited to be GMing a little bit. We'll see how it goes. It's been a while. We may open it up to the public eventually. Right now, it's just me and 4 or 5 other people. We'll see how many people we wind up actually having stick around for it, and then it's at a place called Geeky Tees here in LA. That they're cool. They have like for $5, and I get them for free because I'm GMing a large enough group. But like they basically charge you a little bit to use their space, and it's a good space. And they have like the books there if you want to buy it right off the bat and stuff. But yeah, like they also have like public event. They have public stuff where it's like, as a GM, you have to now write it so characters can drop in and drop out, which is fine, but you have to be accepting of the fact that, like, yo, we got this bullshit hanging around. This guy's going to show up once and never again. See how it goes.
Yeah. So, how long into the first game before you murder them? You already told me you're going to murder them. So.
It's at most 6 sessions, so I have half of the first campaign fully fleshed out. Like so I basically I essentially wrote a video game like tutorial level essentially too. Like it literally has a repeatable combat encounter for them to, like, if they want to run combat a couple times to just get better at the gist of it, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Like it's got way more skill checks than I'll have moving forward typically. Like, so hell, the first half ends with the chance of, hey, do you not like playing your character and or want to play someone else? Cool, they died, because there's a little plot thingy here that sets up the second half. You can just change characters right now if you want. This will not happen in more complicated campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Like I literally have a planet called Basic Planing. It's what's it? BTP5 or something. It's Basic Training Planet 5. But to find that out, you actually have to like ask questions and stuff. Like it is as much them getting a sense of what I'll do role playing wise is what engagement levels I have to engage on. Like I have a shit ton of details that are completely unimportant to the quest that you can ask about. That like I have a checklist of, hey, if you catch this stuff, I'll give you bonuses for it. But if you don't, you've lost nothing. Like I even have a scoring, and part of it's also I played Starfinder from the player end. I've not played it yet from the GM end. I don't know if I made the combat encounters too hard. I may have, and that's not good. I think I got the balancing right, but we'll see, kind of thing. Like I have a scorecard for that to be like, okay, how hard can I actually push these encounter variants and stuff? Like it's neat. It's fun. It's a dance. It's a dance. Like, but they're only gonna make it like 3 or 4 weeks. At top 6, if they play real slow before I kill the characters off, they won't get attached.
Gotcha.
and it's a cool heroic death.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, at least it's going to be a cool way to go.
They don't die like punks. They die in a cool way, setting up kind of at least one of the big bads we're going to play around with moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah, like they're not going to listen to this podcast, so I'll tell you here, kind of thing. Like it's if you could play if you could find a way to so actually they already did it kind of like so. Part of what I guess for me made that Star Wars movie Rebel Rogue One, I think.
Rogue One is a great movie.
But the fact that it ends with the start of that first Star Wars movie, like it ends with Vader just murdering his way through that ship, essentially. That's kind of what I'm going to do with my campaign, where it's I'm interested. Like, it's imagine if your first introduction to Vader was that scene where he's murdering through a ship. Like, if you could go back in time, and that was who Darth Vader was to you always, and then, like, the second movie you got to watch was Vader being, like, fleshed up. You got, like, 30 seconds of this dude just beasting on an entire crew. That's what I'm going to do, essentially. And then kind of the rest of the franchise is about, hey, we have to stop this guy because he's fucking terrifying.
That actually is a good way to like transition.
It's a world building trick,
you're essentially taking like the framework of Rogue One, where all your main characters are gonna fucking die because that's what happens in that movie anyway.
Yeah.
And then shortly after everyone gets fucking wiped out, like you have this big bad, and then your new campaign's gonna start after that. That's actually really brilliant in a way.
Yeah, I have to say it's a cheap storytelling tech. It is a somewhat cheap story technique, if you will, but like
I think it's pretty fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it gives you a narrative approach to clearing the board of a bunch of characters. I know one person's at least asked, like, "Hey, can I do something like this?" I'm like, "Yes," and actually, the way this is going to end does set that up. So you can do that. Like like this first campaign we're doing is basically kind of like military grunts because I don't know these guys well enough to be like, hey, do you want to run like a crime syndicate thing? Do you want to run a Firefly kind of thing? Like, what are you looking to do in Starfinder? Now that we talked about it, I'm like, yeah, we'd like to do a Firefly thing for the moment. Okay, cool. We can totally do Firefly stuff. That means, like, the arcs will be, hey, you're going to go do a job or something. Is that it? Cool, everyone. And they're like, yeah, cool. I've already had a story that was kind of workable into something like that I've been dying. I was hoping they were going to do kind of the Firefly like criminal angle of it because there's some cool stories you can do with that. But like, I'm excited because I get to put Russian gangsters in space.
Nicolai tracks.
Oh yeah, no, it's their first kind of antagonistic character that will set kind of off the group's misadventures is Nicolai Kilmour.
Hey, Nicolai Kilmour?
Yeah, pronounced Nicolai Kilmour, but spelled Kilmour. With only one L.
I don't know if I should be afraid of you, like, DMing now.
Why?
I feel like there's some crazy shit you're going to do with them.
Oh, Nicolai's sending you to find his daughter that may or may not be a clone, and, like, the 332nd clone of his, like, insane, druggy daughter that may or may not have been on life support for the last century, that he's just been cloning nonstop because the guy is so fucked up and rich. He doesn't understand what he's doing is wrong, and you're going to track her through a variety of increasingly fucked up scenarios, ending in potentially her death, and then you bring back her head, and realizing that when he's talking about you to go get his daughter, he's talking about how, like, this was the good clone, this is what wasn't fucked up and addicted to drugs genetically, or something like that. That might be the rough plot of the Nicolai the Kilmour story.
I don't even know what to say.
It might end with the local police of the planet you're on framing you for his murder, thus why you have to go on the run and can't take real jobs and have to take kind of outlaw gigs.
You know what? Touche, sir. Touche. You put a lot of thought into
I like doing this. I like telling stories. You know me. I collect stories and shit like that. I like telling them, and I like tabletopping because why I play video games is to do cool shit. I get to write the cool shit for tabletop games. Like, it's fun. I can be a good GM. I wish I understood rules better occasionally, but from a story and or chances to roleplay angle, I'm a good GM. Yeah.
It's a shame I'm all the way up here in Oregon.
I run a hell of a campaign when I'm allowed to. Like, it's the group I used to play with. The guy that ran it is running my idea, which was because they're running Starfinder right now. They ran fantasy stuff for years. So what he started doing was his campaign started off with all of their players on a fantasy planet, and they just straight got abducted by aliens, and that's how they wound up in space doing kind of Starfinder stuff. But like he had this whole like the group I played with is still more or less intact, minus me. And they're like, we want to do Starfinder. We're sick of fantasy. And he's like, okay, cool. And he made them play through like 3 or 4 sessions of some of the worst, intentionally so fantasy stuff he's ever written. But like, and they weren't sure what the fuck was going on because like, we want to play Starfinder. We don't want to play Pathfinder. He's like, oh, just let me get to this. It'll be fine. And at the end, it was revealed this dark witch tower they were climbing was actually a spaceship that crash landed on this kind of feral, like, feudal world thing, and the, like, shrieking siren sound they heard at night was actually a distress beacon, and they just straight up murdered a space captain and his crew and his defense bots, thinking they were a demon and a warlock, because what the fuck would, like, feudal people know of space weapons and shit like that, get abducted by kind of, like, a rescue team, and they're like, so we can't take you back, and, yeah, technology. That's the type of campaigns I'm used to, so it's natural for me to go the paths I'm going. I wish you were here for this, too. You would have a lot of fun running my campaigns.
Yeah, it sounds really fucking interesting, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Like, I'm intrigued by this.
No, and that's what you were touching on, like, we talked about it a while back, and I think my arm was fucked up. I was playing what's called Organized Play Starfinder, and Organized Play is fine, it's cool, it's streamlined, it's not the open-ended weirdness I like playing when it comes to tabletop games. I would much rather have to meet with the same people and kind of hang out with friends than compete in a more organized manner. Yeah. Like, I want the GM being like, and because I made this combat encounter, you all survive miraculously somehow. I don't want to have to fuck with my story just yet. Whoops. Made that boss a little too hard, didn't I? Sorry. Yeah, it's fun. There's a website called Roll20 that if we could get more people hypothetically involved in it, we could do like remote tabletop games too. It's set up to run this shit.
I believe I've heard of that one.
And part of me almost thinks that would be the better one to record and like put out there as a podcast because there's no visual aspect to it at that point that you're missing. But yeah, I don't know. It would make recording it hypothetically easier too because you're all centralized at that point. Makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, I'm ramping up on that too. We'll see how it goes. Ooh. Hoping it goes well. What have you been up to?
Not much else. Just kind of here doing my thing. Mainly the WoW grind. That's been the biggest thing. Like right now, we just actually stepped into the Eternal Palace this week, and we down to Jara on normal. We're 7 out of 8 on heroic right now, but we're probably going to extend rating this week.
What's all this weird ass drama around the world first thing? Like, it's not in our news.
Oh, so you don't know any? So I'll save that for the news, but I'll give you an interesting rundown on that one. Actually, I was wondering. I didn't want to bring it up because it was super WoW specific.
Talk about it here then. Like, it's been all over the gaming sites I go to where it's like, what the fuck is controversial about a world first? Like, either you're world first or you're not.
It's not the world first competition. It's the broadcasting of the world first competition.
Huh.
So okay. So in the past, I believe it was Method, was working with Red Bull, and they were streaming the world first race from their part, like from their raid.
Sure.
Which is new because before the top guilds never streamed their.
I think you can thank Destiny for this actually, because that's a big thing in the Destiny world, which has led to some problems where it's like, okay, so it's actually easier for many teams to start several months after, or not months, but like a couple hours after the other ones, and just burn through shit fresh that other people have already figured out for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's interesting about this whole thing is in the past, you had who was it? Yeah, I believe it was Method. They were streaming the world first race at like a Red Bull headquarters thing. So it was a super professional production. They had commentators, and to be honest with you, I think it started with Old Deer, but it got a lot of attention. And in fact, like Blizzard was actively watching, and you had like other guilds were like, you know what, we're gonna do the same thing. And so other guilds started streaming their attempts, and you had this massive competition going on between the world first, which as a non-super hardcore WoW player, you never really got to experience and see.
Yeah.
So watching them kind of adapt and do their things and the strategies and all that was really fucking cool. So for Old Deer, and then recently for Battle de Zalor, which is the second raid that we had for the new expansion here, Battle for Azeroth, you had Method working with Red Bull. So recently, I guess for the third time around, the controversy lies in the fact that Red Bull was trying to put in a bid to own the idea of the world first race as a kind of ownership, like as an actual event.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
Which means that only Red Bull would be the like actual official sanctioned party in doing the Race to World First events. So Method and these guys had a big falling out because of it, and so they chose not to stream with Red Bull this year. There are two other big guilds who are signed on to be part of the Red Bull race thing, and that is, I think it's Limit, and then another guild, Pulse or something like that, I forget. But yeah, so they don't like Method doesn't like the idea that a non like actual player or player base or group wants to take ownership of the event. So they're proposing, like, if we do anything like that, it should be only the actual people who play, like who raid and do that, should have like an actual say in like how it's run, as opposed to having a company like Red Bull that doesn't have anybody who actually is fucking competing owning and saying this is how it's supposed to go.
No, I'm with them on that one, yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of the big controversy right now with that, is essentially it's not sitting well with people. So right now, that seems to be what's going on with that whole thing. It's not exactly sure, like, well, from what I'm hearing, not exactly sure how it's gonna pan out in the future, but for this one, Method's not playing with Red Bull on this one. They're gonna stream on their own channels. Limit, and I believe the other guild is going to be streaming on the Red Bull stuff. So there'll be coverage throughout the whole event, but it's just they didn't want to work with Red Bull on this one. So, which is going to be interesting, considering in the future you may have issues with like I think it's kind of happened like this, something similar is with like you had streamers putting on tournaments like for Fortnite, but ultimately like Epic stepped in and put a kibosh on that because people were winning money prizes in that. So, which is kind of a weird situation I was hearing. And the only people who actually have any say in canceling those kind of things would be Blizzard themselves, because they own the actual game.
Yeah.
So, but they like the world first streaming tournaments. So, who knows?
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what's going to happen with that.
Bungie leans into it for Destiny, where they like have made emblems for like the first, like if you can clear the raid in the first 24 hours, you get an emblem and stuff. And like they made belts, like actual wrestling belts for World First for the various raids. They gave it at Guardian Con last weekend.
See, that's actually pretty fucking cool, I gotta say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's kind of this situation right now, which is really, like I said, just kind of interesting that this is where they're going with all this. So, but yeah, that seems to be what's going on.
Yeah, because I only scanned it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how the hell can Red Bull try and buy something that you can't really buy? Like, this in theory belongs to Blizzard, right?
Yeah, it's a weird situation. But, like, I think I'm hearing the side of Method so far. I haven't really heard anything from Red Bull's part. I just know they're putting on something with two other guilds right now.
Well, that's the thing, too. Like, it's one of those ones where it's like, if you could do Red Bull presents the race to World First, that would make more sense. The idea of Red Bull owning the event that seems weird, or the concept of World First and WoW. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure Blizzard owns that. / why are you talking to streamers and not Blizzard?
Yeah. Like I said, it's a whole situation.
Apparently, yeah.
But we'll see. I will be tuning in and watching this whole competition because I'm intrigued. I really like this raid. It is a phenomenal raid.
Yeah.
So I am really looking forward to watching this. So, but yeah, as far as my own rating goes, I've been pretty busy doing that. Hoping to get hoping to get Heroic Queen Azara down this week.
Nice.
So our guild can claim week 1 ahead of the curve, which is an achievement for killing Heroic before the new raid or before the next raid expand tier or whatever. So, have you been following any of the story as far as...
No.
Sorry. You've been following any of it, right?
No.
So, really quick, just to kind of give you a little brief rundown. We go down to Nazjatar and fight Azara in her palace, which turns out to be a Titan facility holding a certain old god prison. And we broke the chains, and N'Zoth is officially broken free. This is the first actual old god who is officially 100% essence has been broken free. It's not like Cthulhu or Yogg-Saron or any of those, because they were technically not exactly the actual being themselves. We're only fighting a fraction of what they are, because they're technically sealed away. So, we officially broke the chains for N'Zoth, and so he's technically free. So,
what is N'Zoth? Like remind me.
He's an old god.
Okay.
So the original old gods in WoW, there was Yogg-Saron, there was Cthulhu, Yasharaz, which I forget. It was like he was the one from the Pandarian expansion. He was like the Shah of something, but they called him a Shah, like a Shah of anger or something weird like that. But he was technically an old god. He's the only old god that's actually been killed by the Titans on Azeroth. So he's gone. At least that's the idea, but his essence has kind of remained, so to speak, around there. But yeah, it looks like we probably will be dealing with the old gods next expansion. There's a lot of rumors flying around right now, and I figured I'd run. Since we're gonna talk about it, I'll bring it up real quick. So now that the N'Zoth is gone, which is kind of falling into place with some stuff that was laid out from a boss fight back in Legion, very early in Legion. There was like an old god-esque kind of tree we fought, and he had a bunch of quotes that basically have all come true. Like, the Diamond King has been made a pawn, being that, what's his name? He's a dwarf that's now made of diamonds. He thought he was listening to Azeroth because she was in pain because of all this, but it turns out it was N'Zoth basically telling the player to build up their Heart of Azeroth, and then it turns out we used all that building up and energy to break the chains, not knowing exactly what was going on. So we basically got fucking played, is what it sounds like. And I think one of the lines that people are really contemplating on what's going to be is, at the dawn of her third death, we shall rise. So when Azara dies a third time, we're pretty sure that'll bring on the Black, what do they call it? The Black Empire. So I think the next expansion is going to be a full-on old god expansion. At least that's the rumor right now, with possible full revamp of the continent, where everything's infected with old god Nilotha-esque type of.
We found more land masses. How? Shut up!
Well, that's the thing. There's only so much landmass you can find. So they're thinking the next one might be they just do a full-on revamp of the continent, kind of like they did with Cataclysm. And everything will be old.
That went over so well.
Yeah. I mean, that one didn't. Yes and no, because there's a big issue with the leveling, but I think if they do the whole thing, and then there's another rumor flying around that they'll do it similar to Elder Scrolls Online, where it doesn't matter where you go, you can level up in any continent in any section ever. Doesn't matter.
That's
It'll all scale the same
cool,
way.
I guess. I don't know. I always hated. That was one of the things I hated when I came back to WoW was you can level anywhere. And I'm like, that's cool. That's not what I want. Like, I want to be forced through the story of these zones. Maybe, I don't know, balance your zones so I can do the full story of a zone and then get the fuck out in appropriate time.
Well, the problem with that is, like, since the story itself has changed, you could be doing, for example, you could be bouncing around between areas where technically Deathwing is dead, and then in this one, Deathwing's alive, and then it's a weird clusterfuck.
You are touching on the problem they made for themselves when they were like, yo, we're setting all of Cataclysm in the existing lands. Oh, okay. And we're changing things forever. Okay. And Deathwing's back. Okay. Why can't this be a new set of locations that have story-specific stuff to that? Well, because then Deathwing will be alive and dead. Why isn't he just alive in the areas for low-level characters that chronologically, their time span, he's not dead yet? Or you take the Destiny approach where it's like, yeah, cool people did some shit. Catch up, scrub.
There is something like that added now, but not, like, fully implemented. Like, okay, so the area where AQ20 and AQ40 is, the zone Sithilus, or whatever it's called, technically there's two versions of it that currently exist in the game. There's the original Sithilus, and then the one where the Titan drew his sword through the planet. And what you do is you go talk to a member of the Bronze Dragonflight, and she teleports you between both before and after. So you can see it's the same zone, but it's both versions of it. And it's just like, hey, we can travel back to the time before this happened, and you can go back in time and see what it looks like there. And then you can talk to the NPC and go back forward and see what the zone looks like now. So it's kind of implemented like that.
That's how it should be across the board.
I personally think that would be fucking great if they did something like that. But yeah, certain zones have that. Like that one for sure has it. And there's a few others, but I can't recall off the top of my head. Oh, Undercity. Undercity still has the old Undercity, and then you can talk to the Bronze Dragonflight member there, and they will take you to the current Undercity, which is completely destroyed. So, yeah, there is some kind of, I mean, I won't say, I guess it's phasing in a way, but not exactly phasing, because it puts you in two different zones technically. So.
That's fine, I guess, in my book. My point is more like there's got to be some way, and like maybe capital cities make it harder, but also at the same time, I understand the idea of get characters up to max level as fast as possible, but also, like, if you want people to care about their characters, you have to go through the stories. You have to have the shared experiences, and that's not what WoW is anymore, I guess. Like, that's...
I agree. Yeah. It's kind of this weird situation. But yeah, so that's what's going on with that. I think I covered everything on that one.
This has been Charlie and Alex talk about the things they are compulsively playing like addicts right now, Block. We apologize. Normal video game coverage will come back, I don't know, fucking sometime.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I wanted to stream this week, but I couldn't stream for too long because I had a lot of really weird... I think my computer is finally starting to show its age. Because there was, like, I had some pretty laggy shit going on when I was fighting a few bosses, because there's so much going on in the background. So, I think the computer's starting to age a little bit.
What do you think the faulty point is? A graphics card or what?
CPU. I think I might be, because the graphics card is fine. It's not a big issue. I think the CPU is starting to show its age. So, might be time to get me one of those new AMDs. Which, have you follow any computer hardware
I only
stuff
care
at all,
about
by
it
the
when
way?
I'm actually looking for parts.
Okay. There is some really good shit coming out of AMD right now. And I guess
I've also heard that there's some problems with some of them.
Yeah, it was a driver issue with some of the motherboards themselves, but that'll get patched and that's fine. There was... What is it? So right now, if you buy an AMD high-end processor, it's better than the Intel ones for some games, and if you stream and play, AMD wipes them out across the board. So at least that's what I'm hearing.
That
and
sounds like that sounds like a real problem potentially.
Yeah, and it's $100 cheaper than the Intel one.
Yeah,
like, they're consistently putting out better numbers for a smaller price point. So Intel will either have to drop its prices or figure some shit out.
Well, the Intel stuff also was older at this point. They haven't made a new chip in, 3-4 years at this point, I think.
No.
They have a new thing out?
They've had stuff recently for a while.
I thought the i7s was the last thing they put out.
No, they have i7s and an i9.
I did not know that.
You want to go that? Yeah, no, their processors have been kept up they're fairly good, but right now, for the price point and everything, AMD is better across the board.
Yeah, I will eventually have to buy new parts for my computer once it's up and running again. Like, not in the near future anytime soon, because I think it's pretty future-proof. I think I'm increasingly convinced I will probably make the switch to AMD for a bunch of that stuff, just because I had a bunch of that kind of memory bleeding issue with the Intel initially.
Yeah. Well, you also had a bunch of issues with Intel where they had exploits, and they had to, in order for you to patch it, you had to drop the power on your processor. So there's a whole mess with that. Right
Yeah.
Yep, that's what it looks like. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see what that race looks like right now. But I'm kind of happy with AMD finally coming back. It's been a long time. It's been a couple of years since AMD has been like competitive price point wise and power wise.
Yeah, the one thing I'm curious about is they just announced those new NVIDIA GT supercards that apparently the 2060 for that thing is just dumb. Like, everything about it's like, why the fuck would you make this? This is cheaper than several, quote, on paper better cards, but more powerful than all of them, actually. Like, you've successfully kind of invalidated your entire, like, 1080 and some of the 280 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2080s, I guess, technically. I don't know, yeah. Never had an AMD graphics card stuff, I don't think, so I would be afraid to make the leap.
I mean, I like mine.
Personally. Yeah, I just never had it before, and I'm used to, I guess, the nuances that are NVIDIA, and that's not a reason not to pick better technology, but I'm always like, when it comes to parts, part of my brain's always like, what if we stuck with the evil we knew? We hate updating NVIDIA graphics cards, or the drivers, but we're used to the process behind it, so...
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see, but this kind of competition makes me so.
Yeah.
In real life news, it took an entire year, but someone in Oregon finally told us we should go back to California.
Oh, what was I saw about that on the Facebook. So what was the occasion?
So we were at a gas station, filling up, and the attendant kind of was curious about our area code, and we told him we were from LA. And I mean, every once in a while we'll have somebody who kind of like, oh, you're from LA kind of thing. But they're always really nice about it. Like, this guy was kind of just being like, oh man, like, it's pretty bad out there sometimes. Like, state's on fire. I'm like, yep, no, it happens. Like, it is what it is. But like, we like it up here, and it's really nice. He's like, well, up here we got a couple rules. We like to keep our trees. And I'm like, yep, no, that's why we love it up here. And so that guy was being cool. And so it's just a friendly little teasing banter or whatever. There was a guy who pulled up getting gas, and I guess he misheard what we were saying, because we were saying we like it up here. And he was like, well, if you don't like it, you should go back where you came from. And it's like, what? And the gas station attendant was like, no, they want to be up here. So Mandy wasn't having any of it. She's like, that's lovely. Have a nice day. And just fucking took off. So.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's California gets a bad gripe sometimes, but hey, I came up here. I pay my taxes. I do my thing. But, and it's funny, I went an entire year before it finally happened. So, not horrible.
It's not your tourists.
Well, we were driving around in a car with Oregon plates.
Yeah, tourists. Like, you have rental cars at that point.
Fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. I just think, like, if you're not part of a conversation in the first place, maybe you shouldn't fucking stick your head in it.
All right, well, if we're done telling you to leave the place you now live in, it's time for news.
Yeah, I think so. news week.
It is and it isn't. So we're going to save our more news for the end, and kind of burn some quick ones right off the bat. Psychonauts has been pushed to 2020. Now it's got that fancy Microsoft publisher. I'm not totally surprised by this fact, but Fig people. Remember Fig people? The people that help, like, not co-fund, but, like, co-finance that game are real upset about this. It means they're not going to get their money back anytime soon, or see return on investment, if you will. But I know I am sad because I just want to fucking play Psychonauts 2 at this point. I am increasingly also concerned where it's like, Psychonauts 2. What is Psychonauts 2 in the modern era? It's been like 12 years. Does Psychonauts hold up? Yeah. Would you love it as much now? No. It's the fact it's unfinished that makes you yearn for it. Yeah. 3D Realms lost their that lawsuit of Iron Maiden versus Iron Maiden. I said Ion for the first one, so I didn't pronounce it well enough. They brought against them by the people that own Iron Maidens and have copyright stuff, alleging that games were too similar, would cause brand confusion. They were trying to kind of ride the rails, if you will, of Iron Maiden's actual success. That game is now called, let me get the name for you. Got renamed. Ion Fury.
Yeah.
I still don't think this game looks cool.
It's made on an old engine, and, like, I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. Technically side-scrollers are kind of old engine-esque games, but I don't know, man. Trying to write on the successor of Duke Nukem when the last Duke Nukem game was absolute dog shit.
It wasn't made by them, though, either. It was made by Gearbox, so.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's the perception of the game itself.
Yeah. I think this is more trying to ride, what was that game called? Strafe? Where it's like, we're going back to the early 90s.
Ah, okay.
Remember back when first-person shooters used to be like this? They were never like this. This actually handles well, but has the old graphics. We know gore factor that's just pixelated blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm interested to see, like, I mean, I don't know. I'm still pretty hurt over Duke Nukem, so I'm still a little cautious on the franchise itself.
We got an email about this. Maybe we did. Maybe I was just watching something. Yeah, sorry, we didn't get an email. I was just watching something about this. Do you think Duke Nukem Forever was a success or a failure from a financial standpoint?
Well, I mean, considering they spent over 10 years on just trying to get it together and all that,
so,
I think it was a failure, wasn't it?
Wasn't, because remember, Gearbox is the ones that made that, and they did not spend 10 years on it. Like, I guess kind of like money to effort ratio-wise for that game, it did really well financially, it turns out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Well, because a lot of people bought it because fucking Duke Nukem Forever's actually out. Let's join the meme, ha ha ha, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, we've talked about this. Even if you ironically buy something at $60, you still fucking bought something at $60 fucking dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, shit. Technically, EA games, or well, like the NBA games or NFL, whatever, the Madden games, are kind of dog shit.
Yeah, but they do real.
And they still do really
and
well.
They're also not dog shit to a certain group of people that are looking for what that game is. Like I think Giant Bomb put it really well. They were talking about how they're like, yeah, maybe they still have truck sticks. Pause. We don't know if truck sticks are actually a thing you want in sports games or not. Like, because we don't play them. We got no fucking clue.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, cool.
I guess.
I'll see how it looks.
Back to Ion Maiden, though. I don't think either of us actually care about Ion Maiden or now Ion Fury. I keep forgetting 3D Realms exist. Every time that I'm reminded they do, I'm like, oh, right. How? Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Maybe, if anything, this was a good boost in, like, visual, because I never heard of it prior to this lawsuit, so maybe in a way it was a good boost.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be funny.
Classic,
get your underground indie hits, like, publicity by getting in fights with large record labels and shit. Like, always, we're going to change the name of this eventually, but we want to get the news cycle out there being like, yo, this game's edgy. It's taking it to the man.
Yeah, like I said, in the way that would work, it's that no press is bad press, or what do they call it?
Yeah, that's generally the phrase. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, this next news, I was hoping Henry was going to be here because I suspect he has more thoughts about the TurboGrafx 16 Mini than either of us will. Because I'm still not totally sure I get what the hell this thing is, aside for a throwback console of some kind. But
it's another throwback console in true like Nintendo or Mini and Sega Mini and all that. It's pretty much what it is. I mean, you go down the list and it's just
that's totally fair. Yeah. We have a list of all the games. They're an impressive group of games. I'm sad to like some of the names I recognize off here, like Bomberman 90. I'm like, yeah, that's a game I know. No interest in playing it ever.
Yeah. There's one that looks like it's a Dracula game.
Probably.
Yeah, it's a Castlevania game.
Huh.
Rondo of Blood is actually coming to the TurboGrafx.
But it also just came to PS4 because it got bundled with what's it called?
Yeah, they got bundled with the Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this is. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's on there. A few Bomberman games. One on here that's to note, Snatcher, which is a Hideo Kojima cyberpunk
But you
game.
can play a bunch of places already.
Yeah.
I think GOG has a pretty well-running version of that game or something.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, who won... The thing is, though, there's a bunch of games in here that are fucking... in Japanese.
I put this on here for Henry, which he's sadly not here to have reactions to, because this is the kind of stuff he often cares significantly more about than either of us do. Like, I had to look up what a TurboGrafx was because my brain could not place it for a second when I first read about this. It's that thing.
I don't recognize any of these games other than the one
I don't think. I think the answer to that is nor should you, but
yeah, definitely before my time.
Yeah,
and I'm an old man.
As compared to me, yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Because I find it funny, there's a bunch of conspiracy theories floating around right now about the Tribute Hall from Destiny 2 out of the Tribute Hall. We talked about this way earlier. It's a fun conspiracy bouncing around right now that's a mix of, like, it's finally kind of the shooting range people have wanted for that game for a long time, but also maybe it serves a darker, more sinister function of depleting us of all our materials to get shit unlocked in that thing. Who knows? Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, bum,
yeah, exactly. But I do love a good harmless gaming conspiracy theory. But in kind of actual news territory, first off, we have EVO registration has closed. This in itself is not news, but kind of coupled with a variety of not weird's the wrong word, but controversial to some conversations this year about maybe next year Street Fighter not being the headliner and Smash winning. Feel like that should be the headliner thing, and people's reactions to that and all that jazz. We're going to talk about this some, because I think it bears talking about. Like, obviously coming off EVO last year, the obvious choice would have been Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or whatever the hell it's actually called. The Dragon Ball fighting game we all thought was cool as shit last year. I personally think it should have been KI back when KI was cool, because that game was hype as shit to watch, but I get it. I'm super glad Marvel vs. Capcom isn't around to take this, because good lord, that's how you make people stop watching EVO.
Yeah. Actually, look, sorry, let me change that. Registration closes today.
Okay, so it's closing
but
as
it closes
of today.
At 8. Yeah, 8 p.m. It closes. It looks like so. You have until 8 p.m. to register. It looks like it says July 14th at 8 p.m. Pacific.
And get wrecked.
Yeah.
I love the idea of some like secret super player being like, "Should I go to EVO this year? I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't." Like 750 rolls around, doing it. I'm going to EVO and showing up and just like murdering his way through the crowd.
Yeah.
Not actually murdering, because there was a threat about that last year, but just like dominating a bracket to start to finish, where it's like, He might have noticed, like, I wasn't going to be here this year. Glad I came. It's cool, I guess. When's Marvel?
Marvel's dead.
Yeah. Yep. So, we don't really talk about EVO kind of in pre-census, but we got nothing better to talk about this week in some ways. We have some news that kind of makes me go, okay, what the fuck, Smash Community this week? Like, do you feel comfortable with Smash Community being the headliner for EVO? Because I sure as fuck don't.
Honestly, based off the number of registrants, plus kind of I think like Smash usually gets pretty consistent.
Yeah, it gets views.
It gets views. Like I mean, hell, Street Fighter has been the headliner for years, and Street Fighter has not had the most views compared to some of the other
I don't think
games.
either of us disagree. Maybe it's time for Street Fighter not to be the headliner.
Yeah, which is interesting because I mean, EVO was kind of started as a Street Fighter.
Sure, but it was also started back when Street Fighter was like the fighting game. And I don't mean like the as in top. I mean like the as in there weren't that many fighting games.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We don't know yet exactly who. We don't know exactly who is going to be the actual headliner, but it was just interesting because there was a poll put out, saying, or there was a poll put out by Mr. Wizard, who is one of the big guys who runs EVO, who kind of just said, "Hey, who should be the final game on Sunday?" And if you look at the poll results, Smash Ultimate won with 58%. Second place was Tekken 7 with 26%. Third was Street Fighter 5 with 12%, and then BlazBlue Cross Tekken or Cross with Tag, whatever it's called, at 4%. So those are the 4 games that are going to be playing on Sunday for the finals. And I don't know. I mean, the numbers say Smash Ultimate right now. And that was a poll of 67,000 people.
I know. I just hate the Smash community. Hate's the wrong word. Ultimate is better than Melee, but there's always, like, if there's some weird shit that comes out of a major fighting game competition, why does it always come out of Smash?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of dumb shit that's come out of some of the other hype.
Plenty, but like
Marvel.
No one's walking around going like, "Man, Tekken players gotta bathe more." As a blanket statement.
Because they're adults.
Maybe that's it. Was bathing a thing you didn't want to do as a kid? Because I do not get that when it comes to Smash. It's like, yeah, the stank makes me more powerful at this game. Does it?
No, I was kind of fucking lazy when I was a kid, though, so sometimes I just didn't want to. As an adult, I shower every fucking day. Fuck that. Yeah, man, I don't know, dude. It's, I mean, you have the stereotype of the smelly Smash kids, sure.
It's not stereotype, it's a reality. Like,
I know. But then you also have, like, the whole thing with, like, Marvel and the thuggery, quote-unquote, stuff that happens and all that. Like, you've had some pretty hype fucking, like,
was there actual thuggery in Marvel, or was that Capcom just being racist?
No, it was Marvel. I never really saw it in, like, in Street Fighter. You wouldn't see it.
I remember being necessarily just attached to Marvel. I remember just being kind of Capcom was like, thuggery rules, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So, I don't know. Honestly, man, like, I think Street Fighter has done well, but at this point, I mean, it's time for a new.
Yeah, I don't think either of us disagree with that. It's like I only bring this up like this is our lead in to like just this week, one of the top, if not the top. I don't quite get the situation of kind of where Ally ranks and all this stuff. Like, one of the top Smash Ultimate players just kind of, like, got booted for... It's not clear exactly what the relationship was, but having an exceedingly inappropriate relationship with a minor.
Yeah. Oof.
And we're not talking like an 18-year-old dating a 16-year-old, which is problematic unto itself. We're talking like a 28-year-old dating a 16-year-old.
Yeah, that's like this dude. God, it just reminds me of that dude from the Overwatch League a couple of months ago. What was his name? I whatever his name is, fuck him. I'm not gonna acknowledge.
Yeah,
him. He's a shit human being.
Let's give it some points here, where it's like the guy got out there and said, "I'm retiring because like this feels like the right thing to do," but also then like a day later or 2 days later, it got like officially sanctioned and like they're like, "Fuck no, you're out, lifetime ban," kind of thing. Where it's like, did you just get ahead of the ban? Like, is that like?
That's what it sounds like.
That's really what it sounds like, and that makes it worse. Where it's like, no, I'm admitting my mistakes. They're going to come out in a couple days anyway, but if I own them, y'all won't be as angry about this. And I guess like, the YouTubers I follow that follow Smash pretty aggressively have been dead silent on this one. Like, it is one of those ones where like, okay, you've talked a lot of shit about how Smash is the future. What do you got to say about this one, Keith Crew?
Yeah.
Where you at, motherfucker?
They should immediately be denouncing this fucking dude and saying that, like, this guy is dog shit. Like, this is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Like, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me, like, at some point during the Me Too movement, you had a situation with Kevin Spacey where he got ousted and was like, I mean, guys, I'm coming out the closet as gay, as to kind of like somehow soften the blow on it. Like, no, you're still a horrible human being for doing that. That doesn't erase it.
I fucking watched something recently that was like, it was a bunch of people that got really outed as horrible people during all that stuff, doing interviews that have not aged well. Where it's like, it's like, with the context of the modern era, this sentence is something we should have been concerned about back then.
Yeah.
Like, you flat out have Kevin Spacey saying, oh, it's like, I target people that seem afraid and confused in the acting world. You're like, that is far more sinister now.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so, yeah, I think he got warned ahead of time that this was going to go down, and he decided to go. It's that standard corporate, you can either get fired, or you can choose to resign. And leave. Which is so fucking shady regardless. Like, I don't care what avenue it's coming from. Especially when it involves, like... So, I don't know if I've ever told you, but it really fucking irks me when people, like, do shit to kids.
Yep, like as it should.
Teenagers, all stuff. It really fucking irks me. Especially because, like, I work with, like, Extra Life and do all that. So I work with children's charities. I love working with kids. I work for the school district. And yeah, you know, like, out of context, I'm sure that would sound weird from a fucking fat dude who says he likes working with kids. But, I mean, it's just, like...
It sucks that this is where we're at, but that sounds weird.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. It sucks. I can't, you know, like, it's annoying. And so, when you have people who are fucking predatory and scumbaggy like this, it just really irks me. That's why this guy he's human scum. Like that Overwatch guy who was predatory to those fucking kids, also a fucking scumbag. And frankly, if you're one of those people, like, you're a garbage human being and I want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
So, I think personally, though, the way Smash community's handling it, like, that they're banning him, good. But they should also, like, all these people should be fucking denouncing this guy. And you're saying that these guys, all the big Smash Twitter people, are being really fucking silent about it?
The ones I kind of keep peripheral knowledge of. Like, I don't know what the general reaction has been, but, like, I follow Keith Cruz, like, his videos typically, and, like, his defense of the EVO finals last year were, like, if you didn't watch last year's Smash 2 years ago, the Smash Ultimate finals that were Bayonetta versus Bayonetta that were a fucking joke to watch. Like, and maybe that's why I'm like, you should not have Smash headline EVO, because I remember that, like, tournament where it was like some casual, like, someone jumped off a stage to reset the score so it was an even match. Like, it wasn't competitive. It was a boo-worthy, like, man, this is shameful. Money is on the line. Like, this doesn't even look fixed. This is fucked. And part of the video, he's like, well, Ally wasn't there or something. And I'm like, okay, Ally's not going to be there again this year. What gives, motherfucker?
Yeah. I mean, so here's the sticky situation on this one. Is it fair to basically shut down an entire scene that didn't really have anything to do with that whole
it's not, but
relationship, though?
No,
like,
I'm not condemning it as part of that, but I think it's...
Yeah. I mean, if they condemn it and stand out against it, then yeah, that's cool. But, like, if they're like, hey, it happens. No, that would be absolutely fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hell, how many dramas have... A couple years ago, there's a drama with Infiltration from Street Fighter who apparently used to hit his ex-wife, which I forgot what happened with that, but I guess it turned out to not be true or something. Yeah. From what I last heard, I could be wrong. I mean, at that point, are we shutting down the entire Street Fighter scene because of the actions of one person?
Yeah, I'm not saying shut down the scene, but this is not even the if this was within the first incident involving Smash, I'd be like, this sucks, but we shouldn't condemn the scene. This shit keeps happening. To take it to more comical extremes, because this is depressing as fuck. If there is a fight in a hotel where people are literally throwing shit at each other, it's Smash. And that was technically Pokemon card players, but that's the shit that you believe me when I said that, because we keep having weird incidents of Smash players, not just behaving badly, but so moronically badly that you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You get paid to play a video game competitively. And I'm not saying those scenes are devoid of this, but this is one of the top players of Smash. And in kind of typical FGC drama fashion, the story is complicated in ways we don't have time to go into right now, but the fact that Ally got out there and just flat out said, yeah, this happened, I'm admitting to it, I'm stepping down, retiring, that's all you need to know. That means it's true as far as official record goes. And that fucking sucks, but the fact that it took 2 goddamn days for the Smash community to get out there and be like, actually, no, he's permabanned? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's confusing. Again, and part of the problem here is a lot of this is semi-speculative. The facts aren't as hard and fast as they could be. The only hard and fast fact is the fact that Ally got out there and said this. So we have to kind of take it at face value, as it is. And this may be unfair or whatever, the fact that he got out there and said, I'm retiring, means it's true. If you got out there and said, hey, you're going to hear some stuff about this, it's not, we'll let kind of it play out, that'd be one thing. But being yeah, I'm retiring because this is going to get out there, not what you want going into EVO after a conversation about, who should be the headliner when one of your top players is man, what the fuck, Smash? Yeah. But speaking of kind of what the fuckness continuing from previous weeks and all that jazz, G2A is back this week with a vengeance. We really have 2 separate stories about G2A, and this one happened on Monday of last week, and one happened later on this previous week on very towards Thursday, Friday. So we're gonna start off with a couple kind of asterisk qualifiers for this. G2A has gotten out there and said this was not a company-sanctioned thing. This was a rogue employee of some kind that did this. This is not something they endorse, etc., etc. But an employee of G2A contacted, I think it's 9 different press outlets out there, and essentially tried to get them, I think it was trying to pay them to run a story as though it was a story from them that was written by G2A that was yeah, no, this is all false and not tagging it as ad or sponsored or as written by G2A. They wanted someone to pretend to write this, and it was the big kind of buzzwords are how transparent and unbiased this writing was. Yeah. This all kind of came out when, who was it? Give me a sec. Thomas Faust from Gamescom. Yeah, is that Gamescom? To his Twitter, he posted pictures of it, and it's from G2A. That's where it gets fucked up. This is an actual email from G2A being hi. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, G2A. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those scummy company does scummy things? Question mark?
Yeah.
The details will shock you.
It is, but this is coming from an actual company.
Oh, I know.
And yes, we have to throw the asterisk again of G2A's like, no, this wasn't us. This was a rogue employee. Like, we super didn't condone this. But, man, the fact that one of your employees felt like they should do this or could do this or whatever doesn't paint a great picture of what the fuck's going on there.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to believe them, but their history of
and
scummy shit makes it hard to believe them.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
It's one of those ones where it's if someone had said yes, would it have benefited G2A? Probably. Would they have objected to this working for them? No. The fact that no employees ever named or anything like that makes it extra suspect. It's like, oh, it's a rogue employee. Yeah, those rogue employees that you won't try and nail down name-wise immediately. To be like, no, it's not us, it's Kyle. Kyle did it. Blame Kyle. Kyle has been fired. And that should have been the end of it. Like, that would have been a nice end to last week's talking about G2A, except no! We have more G2A to get through this week, and this one's officially from the company, a little bit scummier. So, a couple things to keep in mind when we go through this. G2A has for years insisted that they are not in any way, shape, or form profiting or allowing people to profit off illegal sales of stolen keys or whatever. This is in contradiction to not a lot, but people getting out there and basically flat out saying, yeah, I fucking made money off selling stolen keys to G2A. What of it? And, like, even if you're not talking about that practices of it, G2A has been accused of a variety of things, ranging from buying keys for games in cheap markets and then selling them in expensive markets and profiting that way, which is a thing you can totally do, FYI. It's how they're capable of offering some of these games for so cheap. And just kind of engaging in maybe not necessarily all across the board illegal business practices, but a mess of not so great, definitely questionable. Again, using the phrase gray market, where it's not by the letter of the law illegal, but we all assume it is illegal and are pretty sure it is, and don't want it to be happening because it makes everything look bad by comparison. So, the more official round of this is that, as talked about, G2A would allow for the kind of, what's the right word for it? The auditing of their system. And they've also kind of said, yeah, this isn't our problem, though, either. It's developers' problem. Like, sucks to be you, but this sounds like a you problem. We're not responsible for vetting all of these keys.
Yeah.
That they have beefed up their security practices to kind of try and crack down on some of this stuff, but, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel the only thing missing now is having a YouTuber exploit this via CS:GO Lotto.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what would wrap up this whole thing in a nice little bow.
Yeah, basically what G2A supports for this is they're going to propose a key blocking tool that if you're a dev, you can use to block keys you suspect of being stolen or whatever. But now you've successfully added an extra job to, like,
and the thing is, though, they won't even start considering making it until 100 devs show interest before they even begin development on it. Like, what? So you want 100 people to say they want something like this for a gray market fucking company, and then you still want them to do more work that should be your fucking job? Like,
yeah, and like it's one of those people can talk about, like, this will stop the sale of illegal keys. Like, yeah, that's true, but like part of the issue for a long time has been people selling like bot obtained like gift keys, or just kind of nefarious. Like, again, not necessarily illegally obtained, but kind of immorally or impractically, like just finding ways to get free games with the intent of selling. Which, I'm not opposed to the idea of selling games necessarily. It's the idea of, like, we're going to have a server farm running that's just fucking entering every giveaway contest millions of times, or whatever, just to sell the goddamn games. Yeah. But most of what they're doing is they're pushing all their work off on developers and being like, no. This isn't our problem. This is the developer's problem. That's who you should take it up with. It's their fault their keys don't work, which I kind of heard the comparison of it to, it'd be like buying a car it doesn't work. Taking it back to the dealership to have the dealer be like, oh, no. We didn't build this car. We just sold you this car. You need to call the people that actually built the car and talk to them. Well, that's you, right? No. We actually outsource all our parts to another company, and they're here? No.
Boy, I have some bad news for you.
How do we contact them? You can't really, because they don't want to be contacted, because they think they're just selling us cars, and that we will, as a storefront, like, not dick you over. Could you fix this? Well, yeah, we employ several mechanics to keep the store going, but actually, like, stop bad cars from getting to people or fixing them? No, that's not our thing. But we will sell you a phone that will let you call the company directly to complain, and then they'll have to deal with it. How much money goes to the people that... Oh, like 10%. We take a substantial chunk off the front, and by the way, some of these cars are used, but we'll put you in contact with who sold us the used car.
Yeah.
If they're even real. Fuck that. I boycott G2A. I don't believe boycotts work, actually, but, like, just don't. Just don't at this point. Like, if you actually just don't to one thing we've ever told you to just don't on this podcast, just don't to G2A. Like, we get it. A lot of the other stuff we're like, you should protest this, or you should boycott this, or whatever. It's more complicated. This is a simple, straightforward, just don't. Don't buy from G2A anymore. Yeah. But, last but not least, on a happier note than that, the Nintendo Switch Lite will arrive September 20th. It's basically a 3DS, but not 3D. Why do I say this? Because it can't be attached to a TV, the Joy-Cons can't be removed, but it still manages to keep all the kind of shitty Switch design.
Yeah, and you can't dock it either, like, and use it on your TV. This is hard.
I think it's a real bad choice. Especially given there's no real cloud saving stuff. Like, this seems like a very bad product from Nintendo, and I get why they're making it. Like, if they had just fixed how the fucking buttons feel in your hand, I might be curious about this thing. But the fact that it holds on to the god-awful Switch button placement, sure, it replaces those arrow buttons with a D-pad, but it's still got the worst joystick locations known to man.
Yeah, this is more like a successor to the 3DS.
That's who it's armed at. Like, it's cheaper, it's lighter, it's smaller. It comes in blue, gray, or turquoise. Two of those colors look like ass, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, they look...
Yeah.
It looks horrible. Every sense.
Yeah.
Like, and even then, if you look at, like... I mean, shit, it looks really bad. Like, I mean, it's not just, like, the look of it, but, like, first of all, the color with that yellow looks fucking
cool. I do not know whether they're showing off that yellow one. That is a bad yellow.
Yeah. It has a D-pad, which I kind of appreciate. In a way. Like, that's the only
so here's the thing. It's only a D-pad because the other one was buttons, because you had to be able to turn the controller and it would match the other one. Like, you could have fixed how unbelievably badly the right joystick location is, because it no longer has to do that dumb rotatey thing, but you didn't. You made it worse because it's smaller.
No, I agree. So, like, the D-pad itself is fine, but the fact that the locations for the joysticks are still the same is bad. It's only compatible with games that support handheld mode.
Which admittedly is all the games, more or less, I think.
Which leads me to believe there will be games down the line that will only work on the Switch and not have a handheld.
I don't know about that, but, like, so for reference, this means if you're going to play Mario Maker 2, you have to use touch controls. You can't use controller controls.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I mean, if they were promoting it as, like, I don't think they're promoting it as a successor to the 3DS, though. I think they're promoting it as, like, hey, it's a discount Switch.
It is, and... Like, the weirdest one for me on this one is I can't tell if this is saying or not if the Pro Controller will work. I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't. Joy-Con controllers are not supported.
Well, that's not Joy-Con, technically.
But... No, not supported. Joy-Con controllers are not included,
Yeah.
it says, but players can wirelessly connect compatible controllers sold separately to the Nintendo Switch.
Okay, so you
Lite.
can use a Pro controller with it still. But also, you're not gaining that much battery time comparatively. Like, it's not that much lighter. I get on paper who this is for, but this is not a good look. Like, I would have bought this if they had just fucking fixed the controller layout. Like, maybe people are sick of me complaining about this. Like, the amount of money I have spent trying to make a Switch comfortable to hold in my human hands, it's uncomfortable at this point. Like, I won't use it because I don't like touching it.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, I don't know, man. This is not. It's not.
No, it's not that much smaller either. Like, it's still a big thing to make portable.
Yeah.
It looks like it's less fragile feeling than the Switch probably is, but that's not a ringing endorsement or necessarily a good thing. It just means the original Switch was complicated to hold.
The original Switch was a nightmare when we first demoed it, too. Like, there were issues. I can't imagine what the issues would be like for this one.
Yeah.
So, who knows? We'll see. Maybe Nintendo has something planned, but honestly, I'm not holding breath on that one.
Yeah, I don't think there's a price point announced for this. Price at $200 or $199 or $200 as it is compared to the normal Switch, which is $299. So it is a $100 savings, but you are losing a shocking amount of functionality, not gaining that much.
Yeah.
Choice.
I honestly, for me right now, it's not worth it.
Yeah, intellectually, I know who this is for. You are not going to sell this to anyone who does video game content for like a YouTube or something because it's completely useless. And the Switch,
and you can't even.
The Switch is already portable.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, you won't really be able to capture anything because it's got no video out anyway. So,
you're gonna sell this to parents that want to give their kid a cheaper controller or a cheaper thing, but also at that point, there's a very weird moment of, on one hand, it's $100. It's also only $100. Like, there's a significantly better version of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, that's news for this week.
Woo.
Outrage all around.
Yeah.
We do have some emails this week though, too.
Oh,
we have two.
Go on.
You wanted to send us emails, Alex? How would you do that?
It's very simple. You would go ahead and grab your email client of your choosing, and in the to column or row, you would put wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
What's that email again?
wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
wickedawesomecast@gmail.com. Spells it sounds down the show notes. You know the drill, etc., etc. We have two emails this week, as I previously mentioned. Alex, I will give you the option. Do you want to start with the email labeled bathwater ? Or the email labeled good but bad games?
Let's. I don't know. Let's just get the bathwater.
All right. Hey, perverts from last week's podcast. Plenty of your weird stuff has been talked about on the podcast. Plenty of gross stuff has been talked about on this podcast. Plenty of stuff that seemed to create fights on the podcast itself has been talked about on the podcast, obviously. Before last week, you have never talked about something that seemed to rattle one of you as much as bathwater seemed to get Charlie last week. At the risk of actually getting to throw up on the podcast, why was the idea of selling bathwater so damn gross? Because
why is the idea of selling bathwater gross?
I have a very real answer for this one. Because, okay, so if this is true bathwater, meaning the person came in from the streets and got into a bath, that means you are drinking, or you now have a bottle of water that contains human tea, essentially, plus anything that was on top of that person when they got into the water. And let's face it, almost anyone, a bunch of people that bought this, are going to be creepy and drink it. So that means you are drinking water that hypothetically contains kind of whatever you don't successfully clean off yourself when you go to the bathroom. That's why it's gross.
Yeah.
Like, at best, you are paying for someone to send you water that may have come from a tap or a Dasani, but then you are actively being like, yeah, but a person's been in this. That's what I want. Yeah. It's gross. It's gross in the same way that if like a stranger came up and licked you, you would be unbelievably uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just the idea of it. Like, okay, just if there was a dude selling water, I would be just as.
Oh yeah, no, I'd be. Yeah,
it's bath water. It's fucking disgusting. Like, I mean, bath water itself isn't.
It kind of is. When's the last time you cleaned a tub?
That's true.
Like this water is obviously not being made in a sterile, perfect environment, which means it's inherently gross. It's water. It's already inherently a little bit gross. Like, it's water that is deemed good enough to clean yourself with. That's the same water you put through a sink to, like, shove stuff down a disposal or something like that. Like, it's... Depending on where you live, it's water that you go, I'm going to put this water through a filtration system because... No.
Yeah.
Mostly it's the whhole thing is just kind of gross to me. Like, it's...
This whole story
it's ultimate kind of internet thirst and people being way too goddamn comfortable with just being like, I'd like to lick your body. Send me a jar of water that's been on your body so I may achieve orgasm. This is my desire.
Yeah. Like the foot.
Yep. No, foot people are fine. Fuck it. Like, do you? This is...
But then again, I mean... Yeah, I mean, if it's your thing,
kink's your kink, that's fine. It's the fact that this is, like, commercially creepy, and then on top of that, like, it's been very publicly done, and it's become a meme. Like, it's one of those things where it became a meme because we're all kind of nervously laughing, going, ha, isn't this funny?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, if bathwater's your thing, though, hey, good for you, I guess.
Don't pay $30 for it, just saying.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not sure if that's a pay way more for it or way less for it. Like, yep. Thank you, Anonymous. Both are from Anonymous this week, actually. So our second email, also coming in from no name listed, so no name provided. On last week's podcast, Alex brought up a weird inconsistency when Charlie called Metal Wolf Chaos a bad but also great game. While it's not always phrased this way, the idea seems to come up on the podcast every once in a while, especially when a game is being compared to a B movie. For some reason, I remember the topic being a big topic a while back and was hoping that you could expand on this idea some more. I have also played Metal Wolf Chaos, and yeah, no one should play that game, but it's also a really cool game. For me, you summed it up perfectly there. Like, there are so many games out there that I wouldn't call a good game, but I think they're cool or fun, or there's an aspect of them I think is a redeeming quality. Like, one of my favorite games, Brutal Legend, is at best a fine game, but I still think it's a lot of fun because you're driving through the metal lands and playing heavy metal radio, and your character's a roadie who summons lightning with a guitar. It's not good, but it's fun. It's silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, is Destiny good? I don't know, but it's addictive. I have fun playing it. I have no idea if it's actually good.
I mean, we all have our games that are,
of course,
our favorites.
Do you have a game that you're like actively aware isn't a good game that you replay every once in a while?
Do I have one? I had one, and obviously I'm not. I'm going to fucking bring it up. But the Matrix Online was that game.
I'd say it's a little...
I knew it was inherently bad in this design, and it was managed, but it was a game I fucking played.
You heard it here first. Alex said that game was officially bad. No redeeming qualities. We got him. Thank you, Anonymous Writer.
This Anonymous Writer, and it was just a ploy.
The trap was sprung successfully. Good job. We got him. I think everyone does this. Like, Platinum Games, a developer that I will play anything that comes out of them. I'm not sure all those. I fucking love Bayonetta. Parts of those games are real good. That game is a lot cooler than good, though. Like, Bayonetta alone should be a topic that you go, okay, this game's a 10 out of 10. Based on this shit alone, it's down to an 8. Why? There's some stuff we need to talk about from a social angle. The game's still cool, but, like, would the game be as cool if it was a dude doing this? No, it wouldn't. And we all know that, because we're all sick. This mode's so easy you can play one-handed. Yeah. That's a thing a dev said at one point. A dev was like, yeah, easy mode's easy enough, you can probably play it one-handed or something. And yes, I know it's a measure of how easy something is, but also it's a measure of how easy something is. That new WoW strike's so easy you can play one-handed. Why? Trust me, you're gonna want to. Ah! We finally give fans what they want. More reliable content and a more balanced game. Nah, you're gonna fuck Ashara. It's a 20-man raid. Adding this, making it way creepier now that I say it out loud than my joke was going for.
Oh my. This is somebody's.
We'd like to announce Blizzard is now officially sponsoring with Pornhub.
Yeah. Finally, go MLG.
Sylvanas' 40-man raid.
Yeah.
Ah! Got my own dark corners of my own brain. I don't like being there. I did. Brings me into the phrase sunken city, doesn't it? No. Charlie, stop it. You're better than this.
No, stop. Charlie, stop. Stop it. Stop it. We're going too far. Has science gone too far? Yes. Yes, we have.
Podcast definitely has. Thanks for writing in this week. We love getting your emails. Other people wrote in about the bathwater one, but I kind of hope that covered all of it. Those of you who wrote in being like, what the fuck's wrong with drinking bathwater? We're not judging you. We're judging the kind of publicness of this. It's fine. This should not have become a thing that fucking Kotaku was like, yo, gamer girl bathwater. Y'all are fucked.
No, Charlie speaks for himself. I'm judging you all.
But you judge everyone for everything. Like,
yes.
Look at that fucker over there breathing wrong. Breathing in through his mouth, out through the fucking mouth breather. Doesn't know you're supposed to use the circulatory system correctly. God. Hope he never reproduces.
All been judged. All have been judged.
Look at this Lardo just sitting there on an exercise machine. Sure, he just benched a crazy amount of weight, but he's just lying there now like some fat, lazy piece of shit. Hope you die, motherfucker. That's Alex just walking around constantly.
Actually, I would never do that. I think you should.
No, you shouldn't. Yep.
Because the fat guy who goes to the gym every once in a while, it's
never call him fat, just saying you're judging him and being horrible about it. That's on you, Alex. Once again, we got you.
What?
No.
What do you?
I don't know. We should end this podcast.
I think we reached our point. Yes.
Please come back, Real News, please.
We'll have some more news after Area 51. Plenty of video game stuff will be released around then. It'll be a new E3.
Part of me hopes the Area 51 happens because I fucking love it when memes go too far and they get what they want. It's like, we're in Area 51. It's an Air Force base. Oh. This isn't cool at all or anything. No, you invaded government property. You're not going to jail. Man. Didn't think this one through, did you? We could cut the neckbeard population in half in one day.
Yeah.
But, yeah. You want to take us out this week?
Sure. Cue the button.